I'm not so perfect, baby, yeah, you are. Come right.
Today I want to talk about the air options in neutral and why they're important and you should know about them. In Street Fighter, jumping is a huge commitment, right? Because you're very vulnerable for a long time. You don't have many options in the air, right? So you can do a normal, you can hit, whatever button you want. You can jump forward, backwards, neutral jump. And some characters like Cammy have a dive kick, right? You can do a special on the way down. And that is what's made me realize the importance of air options in not only Street Fighter, but in other games, and why other games like Guilty Gear and dbfz are very air heavy compared to Street Fighter. So let's take a look at that. In a game like Guilty Gear, you have a lot more air options than you're probably used to in Street Fighter, right? Because you have an air dash. You also have a super jump, and you can super jump forward, or you can air dash. Some characters have 2 air dashes. The options in the air are a lot more available to you, and that makes approaching from the air a lot more of a viable option, mostly because you can actually block in the air as well. So I'm blocking here, you can't really see because she's not attacking, but here you can tell, right? I'm doing flawless block in the air. Now, what does this mean? That means that jumping in is not as big of a commitment. You're jumping in, but you're still blocking, right? So you're relatively safe. And if they try to, maybe DP, you can probably punish it because you're going to block it, and then you'll be back on the ground before they are. Now, dbfz, they add even more depth to the air game due to the various other mechanics. So let's take a look at those. Now, in dbfz, we have all the other options we talked about in Guilty Gear and Street Fighter, especially the blocking in the air. But then we have the added bonus of the super dash and the vanish. And the reason I call these air options is because they can be anti-aired by 2H into a full combo. So you're making a huge commitment because you can't block, you can't block once you've done this, and you can't block once you've done this, right? You're done. You've committed to that act, and you can be 2H'd out of it. And the big thing about 2H in this game is that it's a launcher. So it's going to launch you into the air, and you're going to take a ton of damage because there's air combos in this game. Those aren't in Street Fighter. They're in Guilty Gear, but they're not in Street Fighter, so it's something you might not be used to if you play games like SF5, MK11, or KI, because they don't have air combos. So while you do have air options that let you sort of negate that risk a little bit, the risk for getting blown up by it is still just as big because you will take a ton of damage for you're doing a bad jump in and that you don't block or that you get caught for, or you do a bad super dash or a bad vanish. So bringing it back to Street Fighter, it makes things feel a lot more simple now, right? We've seen the options in all the other games that you have to learn, but in Street Fighter, the most you'll have to learn is, when to jump, and then on the other side, when to anti-air, and when to, back jump or neutral jump. You have to learn a lot less neutral options in this game. So that's why I think Cammy's dive kick shouldn't be a deterrent for you picking up a character with a dive kick or an air option or an air special. For so long, I didn't play Cammy because I was worried about not being able to do this, right? Not being able to space the dive kick well. Obviously, I'm not the best at it still, right? But I've learned to an extent, and I'm not kicking people in the head, I'm not getting headshots as much. I'm not doing the rainbow arc that much anymore. It's very simple to learn. It's just hard to get yourself to the point mentally to where you can tell yourself you can do it. Because it looks very hard on paper. I'll admit, it looks very hard on paper to be able to execute that. But it's not as hard as you think. So give it a shot. So that's it for today. I hope I've covered a lot about the air neutral that pertains to Street Fighter, Guilty Gear, and dbfz, Even if it's not how to play neutral in the air, but all the options that you do have to get around it. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.